I found this on Yahoo News today. There's no easy or gentle way to put this. People who give in to racism and prejudice may simply be stupid. That's according to a new study that is going to stir up some public controversy. There's more to it. I mean, you can kind of come to that. People who give in to racism and prejudice, whether it is anti-this or anti-that, when you just say, well, I don't like, fill in the blank. It's stupidity. Now, the research also finds that children with low intelligence are more likely to hold prejudiced attitudes as adults. It gets worse. These findings point to a vicious cycle, according to the lead researcher, Gordon Hodson, a psychologist at Brock University in Ontario. Low intelligence adults tend to gravitate toward conservative ideologies. The study found those ideologies, in turn, stress hierarchy and resistance to change, attitudes that can contribute to prejudice. Back to the study. People with lower cognitive abilities had less contact with people of other races, which would partially explain the racial or the bigotry bias. The author of the study said this finding is consistent with recent research demonstrating that intergroup contact is mentally challenging and cognitively draining. You know, when you try to associate yourself with someone outside your group. If you're an evangelical and you try a Christian and try to talk to a Hindu or a Muslim, if you're Caucasoid and try to talk to someone who is not, and you're a stupid person, you know, it makes you very, very, very upset. Now, the author of the study was quick to note that despite the link found between low intelligence and social conservatism, oh, my God. The researchers aren't implying that all liberals are brilliant and all conservatives stupid. The research is the study of averages over large groups, he said, which to me is even worse. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Hodson, or Professor Hodson said or Dr. Hodson, there are multiple examples of very bright conservatives and not so bright liberals, and many examples of very principled conservatives and very intolerant liberals. However, those are the exceptions that define and codify the general rule. And the rule is, if you're conservative, you have less, not only do you have less intelligence, but you have smaller brain parts that are necessary to process information. There is reason, the study says, to believe that strict right-wing ideology appeals to those who have trouble grasping the complexity of the world. Why, of course. I mean, it's as plain as the nose on your face. When things get complex, this is what Obama tried to say during the campaign, when people get upset or when things get complex and require a lot of thought, cognitive abilities, people grab their guns and Bibles. Amen. Isn't that the truth? This is one of the reasons that so many people in countries that are ill-equipped to deal with this massive revolution in technology that has occurred in the past, 30 years, but 20 years, 10 years, 10 minutes. They can't cope. So what do? Start beating their women, make them wear burqas, go back to living in caves, fight each other, resist the invader. I mean, it just goes on and on. In the meantime, if you have a predatory capitalist system like we do that says more, you're going to have a conflict. You know what I'm saying? The study went on to say that socially conservative ideologies tend to offer structure and order. That's what Hitler offered. Unfortunately, the scientist said, many of these features can also contribute to prejudice. In another study, the researchers compared 254 people with the same amount of education, but different levels of ability in abstract reasoning. They found that what applies to racism may also apply to homophobia. People who were poorer at abstract reasoning were more likely to exhibit prejudice against gay people. As in the UK citizens, a lack of contact with here in America with gays and more acceptance of right-wing authoritarianism explains the link. Now, not to belabor the point, but, I mean, study after study after study indicates that the more conservative you are in your political or social ideology, the less contact you have with the real world, which reinforces this rigid conservative attitude. And this answers the question to me that I've been asking all these years. And I guess the answer's been floating just outside my grasp. I haven't paid any attention to it. But I keep saying, why do people consistently vote against their own best economic interests? And here's an explanation. People who are stupid are the ones who do this. People who, for whatever reason, maybe they had crappy schools in their neighborhood, maybe they had parents who were stupid or grandparents who were stupid, maybe the environment, maybe was it nature, was it nurture, maybe it was a genetic, who knows? But there's the answer. People who cannot cope with the complexity of life wind up in a rigid right-wing conservative ideology, whether that ideology is political or religious. That's where they wind up. And once they're in there, every single action that they take or every single action that they perceive as being taken